For over the past 15 years, the Audi S5 has been the sporty two-door alternative to Audi's very popular S4 sports sedan. However, when the company introduced the all-new third-generation model, they made the controversial decision to discontinue both the A4 and S4 name, leaving just the A5 and S5 to carry on Audi's rich legacy in the compact sporty sedan segment. In fact, Audi is only introducing the A5 and S5 as a single body style, the Sportback, although they've dropped the Sportback name. And just like the previous generation, this S5 that we're showing you here is designed to be the perfect middle ground between performance and luxury, with a turbocharged V6 under the hood and the company's signature Quattro all-wheel drive system as standard. So as you can see, this week we are spending a full week with the latest Audi S5 Edition 1 Prestige painted in magnet gray. And the big question I want answered: has Audi managed to infuse their latest S5 with enough heritage to carry the torch forward in the compact luxury sedan space for Audi? Stay tuned to find out. Now, before we start talking about the unique styling differences with the S5 over the A5 that I tested a few months ago, let's go ahead and pop the hood and remind you guys what's powering this thing. Now, this is the reason why you decided to go with an S5 as opposed to an A5, because you get a big upgrade in power under the hood, courtesy of a 3-liter turbocharged V6. Now, as you can see underneath the hood, you're going to find a properly mounted longitudinal V6. This is, again, an upgraded version of the corporate 3-liter double overhead cam turbocharged V6 that we've seen from the previous generation. It loses, however, the 48-volt mild hybrid system in the US. In other markets, Audi includes that mild hybrid system to improve efficiency and improve the start-stop. But here in America, I guess Audi says that US customers didn't want it, although I suspect they did it for cost-cutting reasons. Regardless, you do get more power this year, up to 362 horsepower and up to 406 pound-feet of torque. That's nearly 100 more horsepower versus the A5 that I tested a few months ago with its turbo 4-cylinder and over 100 more foot-pounds of torque. It also has more power versus the 349 and 369 that we got in the previous generation S5. Now, it all goes out through a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission, so the 8-speed ZF automatic has been replaced by a dual-clutch, which should improve the efficiency, should improve the performance. However, it decreased the efficiency because it also lost the mild hybrid system. This powertrain is rated to get 19 in the city, 28 on the highway, around 22 combined. That's around 4 mpg less versus the A5 in the combined rating that I tested a couple months ago. This uses just under a 15-gallon fuel tank. Theoretically, you should be able to get around 320-ish miles of range on a full tank. That's on premium fuel. Audi claims this model is good for 0 to 60 in 4.3 seconds, although I suspect that is conservative. We got 4.3 in the previous generation, so I suspect this will probably be closer to 4. Top speed is around 155 miles an hour, and as this car sits, it weighs in at just under 4,300 pounds, so it's around 300 pounds heavier than the A5 that I tested a couple of months ago. But let's go ahead and close up the hood here and talk about the exterior styling, because as you can see, this is, again, Audi's last brand new internal combustion architecture that they're introducing. The company is going to eventually go fully electric. They call this platform PPC, which stands for Premium Platform Combustion. It's kind of a relative to the PPE architecture that we've shown you guys multiple times on the new Q6 or the A6 e-tron, for example. You can see for the S5 in this magnet gray color, which the color itself, Audi's obsessed with gray. I personally would go with a different color, but it does look good on this particular spec because it's the Edition 1. You can see the headlights. This is Audi's full matrix design LED headlights, which have an interchangeable daytime running light signature. There's a total of 8 different light signatures that you can choose. You also have a premium LED for the LED low and high beams, which is a projector style. You also have the dynamic LED turn signals, which Audis are known for. And you can see with the Edition 1 package, you kind of have like a bronze accent here to this big air intake at the front fascia, which is unique to the S5. The A5 that we tested a couple months ago had a much smaller and much different looking front fascia. You can see the Audi single frame grille has a really unique texture to it with kind of, again, that bronze copper accents here in the actual hexagons for the grille. It's got the new Audi logos, of course. And then you can see there's the new Audi S badge there. It used to say S5, so I actually don't like how it doesn't say S5 anymore. It almost looks like an A5 with a sport package. But overall, I think this car is handsome. I think it's attractive. And it looks a lot better versus the A5 that we tested a couple months ago. It just looks a lot more interesting, a lot more dynamic, and a lot more sporty. Now, as you move around the side profile of the vehicle, you can see Audi made this new generation S5 and A5 bigger versus the previous model. It rides on a 114-inch long wheelbase with a 190.4-inch overall length. It's around 2.5 inches longer in the wheelbase and the overall length. It's around 1.5 inches taller and around 1/2 inch wider. In fact, the S5 is not any wider than the A5, so kind of keep that in mind. There's no bulging fender flares here and there. You can see my test car with the Edition 1 package includes a unique wheel. This is, again, a 20-inch alloy wheel with this interesting matte neodyme finish on the inspoke or the inserts of the wheels. This is actually very similar to what Porsche does with their colors for the wheel spokes. I really love the way it looks. It's riding on a 245 by 35 R20 Pirelli P0 summer performance tires. The S model also includes upgraded brakes, 14.8 inches at the front, 14.2 inches at the front, 13.8 at the rear. It's over 1 inch bigger versus the A5. You also have red painted calipers there with the S logo. And this model also comes with their adaptive suspension because I have the Prestige package. No rear wheel steering, however, but you do get again, those upgraded brakes, and those wheels look pretty nice. You can see the full paint finish here gives it a sophisticated look. I don't like how this color doesn't have any metallic fleck to it, although that's kind of where the Daytona Gray Pearl effect comes into play. With the Edition 1 package, you also get these black painted side mirrors and the black trim. However, that is also included if you guys go for the black optics package, which with the Edition 1, you have a different look to the front end. The Prestige model also includes this programmable LED, or not LED, programmable dimmable panoramic sunroof. Now you cannot open that sadly to vent air, but it has these 6 individual segments where you can actually frost and defrost the window tint, which is definitely a cool touch. I'll show you that, guys, that later on the interior. The door handles, you can see they're the flush mounted style for aerodynamics, and of course it also shows their new badging there along the B pillar that a lot of Audis are going with. You can see backing away from the vehicle here, it has a really nice silhouette actually. Audis, I haven't really been happy with the styling on a lot of their cars, but on this S5, especially in this magnet gray with the Edition 1 package, I think the overall profile is nice. It looks a lot more like an A6 as opposed to an A5 or S5 because this new model has gotten so much larger, but still at 190 inches long, it's around 2 inches longer than something like a BMW 4 Series Grand Coupe. Now moving over to the rear, again, this model is only available as a 4-door hatchback. They no longer call it a Sportback because the coupe and the convertible are now gone, so they're now, it's not really necessary. You can see with the S5, you have this very tasteful rear lip spoiler on the back. You've got the new Audi logos, of course. The taillights are OLEDs, which offer full LEDs, including 8 interchangeable LED light signatures, which are linked to the front LED light signature. You can see you also have an LED turn signal that's dynamic, and you have that very trendy LED light bar. There is an S5 badge at the back here, although I wish they would have also put an S5 badge at the front in the grille. It's also blacked out with the Edition 1. It has that anthracite rings, which is also included with the black optics package. The rear exhaust, you can see it's an S5, and it has that trademark signature quad outlet exhaust, which are also blacked out. This engine sounds a lot better versus the 4-cylinder turbo in the A5, so let's go ahead and fire it up so you can hear how it sounds real quick. And while it does have a soft limiter, I do appreciate the sound of that turbocharged V6. It just gives this car much more character versus the 4-cylinder. I also really like the rear bumper, which has more of a sportier look to it in the rear diffuser area. And then in terms of the cargo space, you can see a power liftgate, which is hands-free, is also standard. And this is where the new S5's larger dimensions give it more interior space and more trunk space. Audi says you have around 22.6 cubic feet of storage space back here, which they claim is best in class. It certainly is very SUV-like in its size back here with this very large opening. I also love all the tie-down hooks, the net that you can get here, along with this additional storage off to the side. If you look underneath here, you can see there is not a temporary spare, just a fix-a-flat kit and a little bit of underfloor storage. There's some LED lighting back here. But if you want to fold down the seats, sadly, there's no handle to do it from back here. But once you do fold them down, you have to go into the backseat area. Audi says it expands the cargo to around 33.8 cubic feet of storage space. So that's actually, again, pretty spacious, although you're gonna find more space in Audi's larger A6 and S6 e-tron. But again, if you're comparing this to the new Mercedes-Benz C43 or even the 4 Series Grand Coupe, which is also a hatchback, the Audi again gives you the most cargo space in its class. So Audi clearly did a much better job with the design of the new S5, but what about the interior? Before we get inside, let me show you guys the newest Audi key fob. As you can see, their latest intelligent access key is going to be standard on this model. It's definitely a nice evolution of the previous generation key, although I will say there's a lot more plastic on the key and it doesn't feel quite as heavy as the previous key, but you can see it's a nice size. It has your usual buttons here for unlock, lock. You can also power open the liftgate. There's also a panic function back here. There's also the Audi S logo here, although I would have preferred it to actually say S5, but overall it is definitely a nice key with their newest Audi logo there. Now as you approach the vehicle, you can see the door handles aren't the traditional pull style. Instead, if you want to lock the doors, you just touch that little area there. That will lock the doors and electrically fold the mirrors. If you want to unlock it, you just stick your hand in here and then push this little pressure pad, and that's what will unlock the door for you. Now my particular test car has a really nice color combination here with the magnet gray and the RS red premium Napa leather interior with the Audi sports seats. You can see these seats look really nice. I love the fact that they have contrast stitching with the diamond quilting. Of course, these seats are also 10 or 12-way power adjustable on both the front seats, and they also have a heat, cooling, and a massaging function. So that's included with the Prestige model. And Audi also offers 3 different interior colors. There's black, there's RS red, and there's also a late availability for a gray and blue two-tone interior. So that'll be a really nice option. I love the fact that Audi is finally adding more colors. They're expanding the availability of cooled seats and massaging seats. Massaging seats are actually kind of rare in this segment. You can see the seat controls are here, the typical high quality switch gear. And then when you look at the door panels, you can see the door panel has some pretty nice materials here. You have soft touch injection molded plastic with some contrast stitching. There's some carbon fiber, real carbon fiber trim here with some more of that Alcantara and that RS red. The door handles, I wish they were more of like a brighter silver finish as opposed to this little matte gray finish. My test car, being the Prestige, has the upgraded premium Bang & Olufsen stereo, which sounds banging if you guys are an audiophile. The window controls have that satisfying, clicky feel to it. I don't like the plastic here, and you can see there's also a lot of shiny piano black plastic here. Your memory seat controls are located here on the door panel, along with your headlight controls. They've been moved over here for the power mirror controls and your child lock safety switch. There's hard touch plastic down here with additional storage, but overall it certainly makes a nice first impression, especially with this RS red interior color. Now stepping inside, you can see the step-in height is low. This is, remember, a sporty sedan. As I shut the door, the door has a pretty solid sounding thunk. Remember, this is built on their new PPC architecture. Now, just like other new Audis that I've shown you, the interior is dominated by their digital stage cockpit. Now, when you start the vehicle up, start stopping is down here by the shifter. And it definitely has a nice little snarl when you first start this vehicle up. It reminds you that you have a more performance-oriented model, because the A5 that I tested a few months ago literally made no sounds. It just sounded like a droney, boring 4-cylinder. This is much, much better. And you can see I also love the new steering wheel. It's their flat bottom and flat top design. It does have their new Audi logo here, which some people have complained about in the comments, but I actually think that it's fine. You probably just need to get used to it. It definitely isn't looking as upscale, I guess, as the chrome rings, but this is a much more, I guess, modern interpretation of it. You do have some touch sensitive buttons here to control the 11.9-inch digital cockpit display. This also controls your audio controls. You have paddles on the wheel, which are cheap plastic, sadly, but you do get an electric telescoping tilt and telescoping steering wheel, which offers a good amount of adjustability and range. You can easily get a comfortable driving position. I am a little sad about this. This doesn't really look quite as upscale or give you kind of the customization as the previous generation. Now, obviously, you can adjust this features here and whatnot, along with the side features over here, but you can no longer put the GPS display in here, which is kind of sad. Instead, Audi wants you to put the GPS here or put the GPS in that new passenger display. You can see there's also an augmented reality head-up display, which includes a really cool demo mode. And it also includes turn-by-turn navigation in the heads-up display. The material quality on the dash has that same soft touch injection molded plastic with the stitch going across this upper portion of the dash. This has a cheap plastic feel here, but you're rarely going to touch that. And then you can see in the center, you have a 14.5-inch center display running their latest Audi MMI software. It includes wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, of course, all these different sources where you can change what you'd like. There's also built-in YouTube right there, along with a racing game, which is pretty cool, along with Alexa built in and Google built in, so that's pretty nice. I don't have the CarPlay connected because my phone is using it to record. When you go to the vehicles here, you can adjust a couple of things, including the screen settings, the head-up display, the ambient lighting, the passenger display. You can adjust the LED lighting, including the exterior light signature, you actually can do that over here. You select it, you have to shut the car off, or select the one you want, shut the car off, and it'll automatically change that. So this is, again, a really cool feature that gives you that kind of customization. I don't really know how many owners are going to use it, so if you're an owner of the newer Audi products, let me know which style you actually prefer yourself in the comments section below. Climate control is located down here in this lower portion. You can also bring up the climate menu here, which is pretty nice. This vehicle also has Google built in for the map display with Google Maps, of course. Your heated and cooled seats are here. You can also turn the heat and cooling seat on at the same time. The cooled function works really well, which is very nice. If I push this button here on the seat, you can bring up the massage. There's 3 different types of massages with 3 different intensities, and the massage actually works pretty well. It's included, again, on this Prestige trim. I am noticing a lot of reflections in the screen as I'm trying to film here and show you the screen, so that's kind of a little bit of an annoyance, but it is a pretty high resolution display. When I put the vehicle into reverse, you can see there's your backup camera, your full 360 camera actually, which includes trajectory, distance markers, parking sensors, automatic cross traffic braking. There's also a washer for the camera itself if it gets dirty. This controls the 7-speed dual clutch. Push the P button to go to park, push it forward to go to reverse, kick it down to go to drive. There's also a sport mode there. And when you want to change the drive mode selector, it's located here. I kind of wish that Audi would have done something on the steering wheel. I suspect they might save that for the RS model at some point, but you can see there's 3 different drive modes here: individual, dynamic, and comfort. When you put it into the dynamic, the revs actually go up and it opens up a valve in the exhaust. And I'm actually really pleased how it even has authentic pops and crackles from the exhaust, and it's also a real exhaust system. It's not some fake exhaust crap that Audi was doing in the past. Now, going with the Prestige model also includes a passenger display here. You can see I have YouTube pulled up to where you can literally watch your favorite YouTube channels and whatnot, so that's really cool. And you can also pull up the GPS display here. That basically, I believe, is the reason why Audi took away the GPS dysfunction here, and they just put it here, or you can also put it here, which is nice. Most of you will use your smartphone anyways. You can see there's that suede Alcantara on this lower portion. I don't love all the piano black. You can see it already shows fingerprints and smudges really easily, which I hate. The air vents you can see are traditional. There's a tab here that you can manually adjust the airflow, which I much appreciate. It is hard touch plastic here. This feels kind of cheap. Don't really like the feeling of that. There is some genuine carbon fiber here. You have a wireless phone charging pad, which this is actually a quick charger, 15 watts, I believe, and it's also vented, so it'll keep your phone cool. You have 2 USB-C charging ports, a 12-volt power outlet, which is nice. Volume knob, of course, stability control off switch, auto start, stop, defeat. And then you can also pull that up to bring up the 360 camera if you'd like. Again, all this piano black just shows dust, fingerprints, and smudges and scratches, so I don't like that. There is a nice padded center console here. Open that up, you can see it's not the deepest center console, but there is additional storage here, and you can also kind of adjust the incline of this, although you can't make it move forward and back, which is a little bit disappointing. The seats, like I said earlier, premium leather. They are comfortable and supportive. You also get a thigh extender, so technically it's more like a 14-way adjustable seat with a manual thigh extender. You can see the glove compartment. It's pretty big, actually. It's damped and it's lined with felt. It's a bin style, so it just offers additional storage there, which is good because there's not much storage here in the center console. You have an auto-dimming rearview mirror here, a woven material for the headliner, and then there's that variable light control panoramic roof. So if I basically use this little tab here, push it forward, that will completely frost the glass, kick it back, and it'll start to unfrost the glass, which is pretty cool. It's a really cool party trick. You can also kind of do it slowly and do it in segments. For example, if you want light but the back passenger doesn't, or you can also do it where the back passenger wants light but you don't want light. So it's kind of nice, and you can also push on this and it gives you segments where you can literally inverse the segments if you'd want, or invert the segments if you want. So that's a really cool feature. I still would have preferred this to actually open up to let in some air, but I guess that's a nice little party trick. But overall, build quality is solid. There's not a single squeak and rattle. Material quality could be nicer. There's not much in terms of luxury touches aside from the real carbon and some Alcantara and comfortable seats. It doesn't feel quite as luxurious, and it also has a similar design to other new Audi products, which I get it. It's a cost-cutting measure, and it helps Audi with production, but it also just makes their interiors all look the same, but at least they are well made, easy sight lines, comfortable seats, and I think most people are gonna be happy with the technology. But let's go ahead and hop into the back seat area of this vehicle, and that's where Audi again wants to showcase that they are leading the pack here with best-in-class rear seat legroom. Now, as you can see, Audi says you have around 36 inches of legroom back here. That's an inch or two more versus its rivals. The Prestige trim also includes the same materials back here from the front with the soft touch injection molded plastic and this contrast stitching. Alcantara here where it's nice and padded. Hard touch plastic down here, but at least you got these retractable manual sunshades, which is a nice touch. These seats, like I said earlier, they do fold down, but only from the back seat area. You can see it actually creates almost a completely flat load floor, which is fantastic. This does not recline though, sadly. But once you get back here, you can see, once I'm back here, shut the door and let's go ahead and put the peasant blocker up. It's actually a pretty decent place to spend time back here. This is pretty much my driving position at 5'7". I have good foot space, good legroom space. I can cross my legs and get comfortable back here. There is a fairly large hump here for the middle passenger. You do have rear seat air vents, USB-C charging ports, third zone climate, and you have 3-level heated seats back here. So that's kind of a nice touch. You have to pay extra for these in the Mercedes and BMW equivalents. You have 2 map pockets in each of the seat backs, and if you want to fold this down, there's an armrest with 2 cup holders, adjustable head restraints. You have LED map lighting, of course, and there's also LED ambient lighting where this lights up at night. In terms of the headroom space, you can see at 5'7", I have a solid maybe 2-3 inches of headroom, so this is nice. This is where that extra 1.5 inches of roof clearance in this car, the taller height, definitely are going to come into play. But overall, if you plan to use this as a family vehicle, just know the A5 and S5 offers the most rear seat legroom in the compact luxury sports sedan class. So here we are back behind the wheel of the fully redesigned 2025 Audi S5. I've been looking forward to spending a full week with this vehicle. The new A5 just left a lot to be desired for me, especially with its turbocharged 4-cylinder, which didn't really have much in terms of sound or soul. We got 0 to 60 in 5.6 seconds with the 268 horsepower 4. However, this model has nearly 100 more horsepower and also over 100 foot-pounds of torque. Audi claims 0 to 60 should be around 4.3 seconds. I suspect that number is conservative, so let's go ahead and see what we can get. To activate the launch control, you basically put it in Dynamic Plus, you put it into Stability Control Sport, brake torque it really hard, and then, oof! Oh, it really takes off hard. 0 to 60 in 4.03 seconds there. 4.03, so that's around 0.3 seconds faster versus the last S5 that I tested, which had a 349 horsepower V6. This is also around 1.5 seconds quicker than the Audi A5 with its 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder. In fact, when you activate the launch control, the launch is pretty brutal. It's so brutal that it literally just made my freaking 0 to 60 timing equipment just fall off of the freaking windshield. So it was actually a lot harder than I suspected it to be. And remember, there's supposedly there's supposed to be an RS5 above this vehicle, although we've had no word of whenever that vehicle is coming back. The last RS5 that I tested did 0 to 60 in 3.3 seconds. That was around 1.5 years ago. So this is pretty impressive performance. Now, is this car faster than its main rivals, a Mercedes-AMG C43 or a BMW M440i Grand Coupe? I'm not entirely sure. I haven't had a chance to 0 to 60 test those vehicles in their most recent versions. The Mercedes, I haven't even had a chance to drive just yet, but that's still very impressive performance. And I suspect this car is faster because it has a dual clutch transmission now. The 8-speed automatic was discontinued. The company's signature Quattro all-wheel drive system, of course, is here, and it also includes their sport differential on this particular model, their progressive sport steering. Ooh. Oh, when you put your foot down, you can feel the back end, that rear torque splitter is trying to send more power to that outside wheel. It gives it more of that torque, rear driving dynamics. It's kind of similar to Acura Super handling all-wheel drive system, although Acura very much patents that system and they push it very forward. But Audi's all-wheel drive system here is also very good. And I mentioned earlier, this car comes standard with their progressive steering, which is a dynamic steering system. My test car also has adaptive dampers. In terms of the steering, it's very quick and responsive. The body also has a little bit more lean than I want it to, but the beauty about the S5 is you have that dual personality. You can easily daily drive this vehicle on, your usual roads. It's comfortable, it's sporty. On highways, for example, the car has that compliant ride that you expect from a luxury brand. And then when you put your foot down, oof, oh, listen to the sound. This has that, the nice noises that I was missing, that I was really missing actually from the A5. I love the way this engine feels, the way it accelerates with the dual clutch. It's just a really wonderful combination, and you can also control the gears via these paddles. And they're, for the most part, pretty responsive. What I don't like is how they're plastic, but man, that V6, that is just really pleasing to my ears. I know there's so many EVs out there, electric sports sedans, that are just gonna be faster, but there is something that's just classic about this combination. Now, this model also comes with upgraded brakes. The brakes are 14.2 inches in diameter in the front, 13.8 in the rear. They're about an inch bigger than the stock ones. They certainly have a lot of bite, a lot of confidence-inspiring performance, and you kind of expect that. I mean, this car is not designed to be a track car, but what it is it's just a faster version of the regular A5. If that model is a little bit too bland, a little too boring, you're going to really appreciate how this model feels. It kind of gives you that combination of both characteristics, and I think a lot of people are going to really appreciate that. I want to try another 0 to 60 run with the launch control, of course. Oh! 4.1 seconds there. Now, we'll take the 4.03 as our quickest time. I did do a 0 to 60 in this car without activating the launch control, and the launch control shaves around a half a second off the 0 to 60 time. So keep that in mind. You really want to brake torque it and use the launch control to get the maximum acceleration of this vehicle. And I'm pleased to say that when you have it in its dynamic mode, I can pretty much daily drive this in dynamic. It's not too overly harsh. The transmission is very, very responsive. It's geared properly, I think. The engine also loves to rev. It's very smooth. And you can also take control of it with these paddles and... there's not really much in terms of pops and crackles from the exhaust, but I like the sonorous wail of a 6-cylinder, especially one that's that's this smooth as well. So I'm pleased. This essentially satisfies the itch that I had in that A5, where I just thought it was a little bit too bland, a little bit too slow. This is definitely much, much better. Now, if you switch the drive mode here, I'll put it into my individual setting. This is where the S5 will settle down into an even more comfortable sports. And that's not to say that the dynamic mode is not comfortable. It already was comfortable, but this makes the steering a little bit lighter. The transmission is a little more eager to go into its top gear. And I noticed that there are times where I catch it sleeping at times, where you do feel a little bit of turbo lag from the V6, which goes away once you activate the launch control. You have it in dynamic mode, and you have the transmission in its S mode. In this mode, it's just a luxury car. There's not a single squeak and rattle in this interior. The seats are also very comfortable and supportive. The heat and cooled function works well. I'm also able to get a massage as well. The massaging seat function is also really rare. You don't typically find that feature in this class. And I just think there's a lot to like about this car as a daily driver. It really shows that Audi was trying to up the refinement. I mean, the old model was already a pretty refined vehicle. You do feel a little bit of that classic understeer that you feel with Audis. The steering doesn't have much in terms of feedback, even though it's quick. But at the same time, I'm kind of okay with that. Audis have always been more about balance, and you still get a sense of that balance when you're driving this car. The BMW competitor is going to be a little bit sporty. The Mercedes competitor, at least I haven't driven the newest C43, only comes with a 4-cylinder that's electrified. So this is definitely nice. The BMW has the inline-6 turbo. This has the V6 turbo. But what's wonderful about the Audi is this is a lot cheaper than a lot of its rivals. We'll talk about that later on during the driving, or during the conclusion. But let's go ahead and talk about the fuel efficiency really quick, because this model is rated to get 19 in the city, 28 on the highway. In my week's worth of testing, I averaged around 23 mpg in mixed driving, which isn't wonderful. Audi did get rid of the mild hybrid assist, the 48-volt system, which you can get in European markets. For some reason, Audi claims that the North American market just didn't want this, or doesn't like start-stop. So Audi was like, fine, we'll save money and we'll take it out since you don't like it anyways. Although this car technically still has start-stop, so I think it was kind of a lose-lose for it. I think they just did it to save costs. On the highway, this vehicle was able to get around 27 miles to the gallon. So that's not bad. I got around 350 miles of range in the real world on premium gas, of course. So fuel efficiency is not bad, although I think the BMW competitor is going to be far more fuel efficient. But overall, the latest S5, in terms from a driving perspective, is sporty, comfortable. It's got that dual personality that you like, and I also love this new interior with the Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. I don't love the look of it, but I must say that it's just, once you get used to it, once you have everything set, it's very, very tech forward, which is important, I think, for an Audi vehicle. Now, it's no surprise that Audi is in a little bit of trouble here when it comes to sales figures in North America. Compared to its direct rivals, BMW and Mercedes, their sales have been down pretty much for the last couple of years, but the company is trying to fix that, of course, with a huge product renaissance. There's a lot of new Audis coming out within the next 24 months. This is one of the most important new Audis to come for 2025, and that's because this is, again, introducing their latest PPC premium platform combustion architecture, and it's also introducing a new A5 and S5, which is technically the best-selling four-door sedan from Audi in the lineup. With the A4 discontinued, this is now, again, their compact luxury sports sedan, and it's available in the A5 and the S5. And after spending a full week in both versions, both the A5 and this new S5, I have to say the A5 left a little bit of something to be desired for me, especially from its base 2-liter turbocharged four-cylinder. It just felt bland. It felt very anonymous. However, the S5 fixes a lot of those issues that I had. Its performance is very impressive. As you guys saw, 0 to 60 in just over 4 seconds with the launch control. 4.5 without using the launch control is going to be plenty fast. This will be able to keep pace with something like a BMW M440i Grand Coupe or a Mercedes AMG C43. The noises that the V6 also makes are nice, along with the quick shifts from the dual clutch transmission. Audi's signature quattro all-wheel drive system here is standard on even the base A5, and it puts the power down nicely. This car has that typical well-balanced feel that Audis are known for, so I think a lot of traditional loyalists are going to love it, and people who are looking for a compact luxury sports sedan that's kind of more along the lines of a mid-size vehicle, because as you guys also saw, the interior of this vehicle, while it doesn't have the same luxurious feel as the Mercedes competitor, it offers more interior space, impressive technology, the usual tech that you'd expect, of course, and Audi's new digital stage cockpit. While at first I didn't really care for it, once I got used to it and set up my phone to it, lived with it for a full week, along with its new ambient lighting system, it definitely feels a lot more modern and sophisticated, and the software behind it also works flawlessly. The backseat is also very usable, along with the trunk offering SUV levels of practicality. Fuel economy is a little bit down. This is where I don't think it was a good idea for Audi to take away their mild hybrid system, because the gas mileage went down compared to the previous generation. But again, you'll still be able to do around 350 miles of range on this car, and for those of you who have more of a lighter foot than myself, you should be able to get closer to 30 miles to the gallon on the highway. So this is, again, still a very easy car to live with on a daily basis. The other reason which makes the A5 and S5 more enticing than its rivals is because Audi has kept the pricing in check for this vehicle. Because if you want to get into an S5, pricing starts at around $62,700. That's about $4,000 to $6,000 less expensive versus its rivals from BMW and Mercedes. The BMW is roughly $4,000 more for an M440i with xDrive, the Grand Coupe variation, which starts at like $66,000. So there's a lot of value to be had here. Most of you are probably going to add the Premium Plus package, but this Prestige model that I'm showing you here, with all of the bells and whistles, including the Edition 1 package, and the upcharge, of course, or not upcharge, the destination charge, brings the total for this model here to around $73,345. Now, $73,000 sounds like a lot of money, but keep in mind, if you build a comparably equipped BMW or Mercedes with their upgraded powertrains, you're going to be spending around $80,000 for those vehicles. So there's a lot of value to be had here, but you also should keep in mind, if you're interested in something that's rear-wheel drive with a naturally aspirated V8, the Lexus IS 500 starts at around $60,000. A well-equipped one is around $66,000, but keep in mind that vehicle is rear-wheel drive only. It also has a very old-school infotainment system. So there's a lot to like here with Audi's new S5, including its strong value for performance and technology features. And as long as you kind of can get past the, somewhat more bubbly looks of the new generation models, I definitely think you should put the new S5 at the very top of your list. But with all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the brand new 2025 Audi S5 Prestige in this Edition 1 trim. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews. Like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.